I'll never forget the first time I saw his face. It wasn't in real life. It wasn't even on the news. It was in a photograph tucked neatly inside my wife's jewelry box. A photo of a man I had never seen before, smiling like he belonged in our family. At first, I thought it was nothing. A distant cousin maybe, or a friend from before we met. But the way the photo was hidden, folded carefully inside tissue paper, beneath her pearl earrings, told me it wasn't meant to be found. My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 43, a high school history teacher, husband of 15 years, father of one. Until that night, I thought I had the kind of life that made other people envious. Stable job, pretty house on a quiet street, a wife who still laughed at my dumb jokes, and a daughter who adored us both. But all it takes is one secret, one photo, to unravel everything you thought was real. That night I confronted Emily, my wife, about the man in the picture. We were in the kitchen, the dishwasher humming, the faint smell of garlic bread still in the air. She was drying plates when I pulled a photo from my pocket and set it on the counter. "Who is he?" I asked. The plate slipped from her hand and clattered against the sink, not shattering, but close. Her face drained of color in a way I'll never forget. "Where did you find that?" she whispered. "In your jewelry box." Her fingers trembled as she reached for the photo, but I pulled it back. "Emily, who is this man?" She bit her lip hard, tears welling in her eyes. For a moment, I thought she would come clean, that she'd tell me the truth. Instead, she shook her head. "You shouldn't have seen that." That answer chilled me more than anything. Not who he was. Not why she had the photo. Just, you shouldn't have seen that. I pressed harder. "Emily, if this is an affair." "No," she snapped too quickly, too desperately. "It's not that. Please, Daniel. Just drop it. Drop it." As if a strange man smiling from a secret photo hidden in my wife's jewelry box was something I could just forget. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. She lay stiff on her side of the bed, her breathing uneven. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. The next morning, when I got up for work, the photo was gone. I tried to act normal at school, lecturing about the American Revolution, while my students doodled in their notebooks. But all I could think about was Emily's face when I confronted her. The fear, the guilt. When I came home, she was in the kitchen again, smiling too wide, asking about my day like nothing had happened. The photo was never mentioned. That's when I knew. Whatever secret she was hiding, it was big enough to threaten our marriage, big enough to scare her into silence, and big enough to make me start digging. The first clue came from our daughter, Lily. She was 12, still innocent enough to overshare, without realizing the weight of her words. We were eating dinner 3 nights later, when she said casually, "Mom, is Uncle Mark coming to visit again soon?" Emily froze, fork halfway to her mouth. "What did you say?" "Uncle Mark," Lily repeated. "The man who came over when Dad was at the conference last spring." My blood ran cold. Conference? I hadn't been away on any conference. I looked at Emily, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Who's Uncle Mark?" I asked, my voice low. Lily blinked at me, confused. He said, "He was Mom's brother. He even brought me a gift." That puzzle in my room. I set my fork down slowly. Emily's hand shook so badly she had to put hers in her lap. "I think it's time you go do your homework, sweetie," she said softly. Lily left, oblivious, humming to herself. The moment her bedroom door shut, I leaned across the table. "Emily, who the hell is Uncle Mark?" Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't cry. She just whispered, "Daniel, please, if you love me, don't ask." That was worse than any answer. I didn't tell her what I did next. I waited until she went to bed. Then I pulled Lily's puzzle box from her shelf. On the bottom corner was a sticker from a bookstore 2 towns over. I drove there the next day during lunch break. The cashier remembered the man immediately. Tall guy, brown hair, nice suit. Came in with a woman once. Said it was for their daughter. My heart sank. He hadn't just been here. He'd been here with Emily. I asked if they knew his name. The cashier frowned, then pulled up an old receipt from the system. Paid in cash, but the membership card used was under the name Mark Reeves. Mark. I drove home in a daze, the receipt burning a hole in my pocket. Reeves wasn't Emily's maiden name. It wasn't anyone we knew. When I confronted her again that night, she finally cracked. "Fine," she said, her voice hoarse. "You want the truth? His name is Mark Reeves. He's not my brother. He's not a friend. He's my handler." "Handler?" I repeated. Her hands gripped the edge of the counter. "Daniel, I've been lying to you for 15 years. My name isn't even Emily. It's not the name I was born with." The world tilted sideways. I thought she was insane. I wanted to laugh, to scream. Instead, I just stared. "What the hell are you talking about?" Her eyes glistened. "I'm in witness protection." The silence that followed was deafening. Witness protection. The words rattled around my head like loose bullets in a metal can. "You're joking," I said finally, my voice hollow. "I wish I was," Emily whispered. I leaned back against the wall, trying to keep my balance. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had just confessed that her entire identity was a lie. "You expect me to believe," I said slowly, "that the U.S. Marshal stashed you in my town, gave you a new name, a new life, and let you marry me without ever telling me?" Emily's eyes were red. "That's exactly what happened." I laughed, bitter and sharp. No, Emily. This is insane. You're not some mob witness in a movie. You're a teacher's wife. You bake cupcakes for Lily's class. You sing off-key in the car. "I was," she said quietly. "But that's not who I used to be." I wanted to walk out. God! I wanted to slam the door and never come back. But something in her eyes rooted me to the floor, a kind of terror that wasn't about me at all. So I asked the only question I could manage. "Then who are you really?" She poured herself a glass of wine, her hands trembling. "My real name is Sarah Collins. I grew up in Chicago. My father worked for a construction company that was tied to the Romano crime family." She took a shaky sip. "When I was 20, I found out he was embezzling from them. He planned to run, take us with him. But they found out. They killed him, Daniel, right in front of me." My stomach knotted. "I ran to the police," she said. "Testified against the Romanos. My testimony helped put 3 of their men away. That's when the marshals put me in witness protection. New name, new state, new life. I thought I could bury Sarah Collins forever." I pressed my palms against my eyes. It was too much, too fast. "And Mark," her jaw clenched. "My handler, he checks in every few months. Make sure I stay safe, make sure I follow the rules." I dropped my hands, staring at her. "The rules, like never telling your husband who you really are?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Yes." The room spun. 15 years of marriage. 15 years of birthdays, anniversaries, family vacations, all built on a lie. "You should have told me," I said, my voice breaking. "I couldn't," she sobbed. "If I had, they would have relocated me, taken me away from you, from Lily. Everything we built would have been gone." I wanted to believe her. God help me, I did. But another thought gnawed at me, darker, more dangerous. Emily, or Sarah, whatever your name is, if you're in witness protection, and if Mark is still visiting you. I swallowed hard. That means the Romanos don't know where you are, right? She hesitated. And in that hesitation, my blood went cold. "Emily, tell me the truth." Her voice cracked. "They found me once years ago. Mark helped me disappear again. But if they've tracked me this far," her gaze shifted toward Lily's closed bedroom door, "they won't stop this time." That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak in the house felt like an intruder. Every passing car felt like someone watching. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, while Emily sobbed quietly into her pillow. The next morning, I considered going to police, telling them everything. But if Emily was right, if the Romanos had infiltrated even the marshals, who could I trust? When I got to school, I could barely focus. My students' faces blurred. I kept imagining men in suits pulling up outside my house, dragging my wife and daughter away. At lunch, I sat alone in the teacher's lounge, scrolling through my phone. That's when I saw it. A news article from Chicago. Romano crime family associate released on parole. The man's face stared up at me. Gaunt, hard eyes. A face I recognized, because it was the same man from the photo I'd found in Emily's jewelry box. Mark Reeves. But the article didn't call him Mark Reeves. It called him Anthony Romano. My stomach flipped. My wife's so-called handler was a Romano. I drove home on autopilot, my knuckles white around the steering wheel. Emily was in the kitchen again, chopping onions. She looked up, smiling like everything was normal. But when she saw my face, her smile faltered. "What happened?" she asked. I slammed the phone down on the counter. The article open. "You lied to me again." She froze, her knife clattering against the cutting board. "Anthony Romano?" I hissed. "That's your handler?" "He's not a marshal. He's a goddamn mobster." Her lips trembled. "Daniel, please." "Please what?" I snapped. "Please pretend this is fine? That the man from the photo, the man who's been in my house, around my daughter, is part of a family that wants you dead?" She shook her head violently. "It's not like that. It's complicated." I laughed bitterly. "Complicated? Emily, it's insane." Her eyes brimmed with tears. I didn't know who he really was at first. He came to me years ago, said he was with the marshals, said he was assigned to protect me. I believed him. I had to. I had no one else. "And you never checked? Never questioned?" Her voice cracked. "I was scared, Daniel. When I found out the truth, it was too late. He said if I ever told anyone, he'd kill you. And Lily..." My chest tightened, rage and fear colliding. "So all this time," I said, my voice shaking, "you've been keeping us safe by letting a killer walk in and out of our lives like he owns us?" Emily sobbed. I didn't have a choice. But I realized then we had no safety, no protection. Not anymore. We were already in their hands. That night, I couldn't stay in the house. I drove aimlessly through the suburbs, headlights carving through the dark, my thoughts a storm. Finally, I pulled into an empty parking lot and sat there, shaking. What was I supposed to do? Tell the police? Go to the marshals? Or pack up Lily and run? Hope we could vanish before Romano made his next move? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A familiar voice spoke, calm and smooth. "Daniel, we need to talk." It was him, Anthony Romano. The moment I heard his voice, my hands went slick on the wheel. "Daniel, we need to talk." Every instinct screamed at me to hang up, throw the phone out the window, and keep driving until the gas tank bled dry. But my throat locked, and I managed only one word. "Why?" Anthony Romano chuckled, low and steady. "Because you've been asking questions, snooping, and that puts you, your wife, and your little girl in a very uncomfortable position." My heart stuttered. "If you touch them..." "Relax," he said. "If I want to touch them, you wouldn't be on the phone right now. I want to offer you an arrangement." I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ached. "What kind of arrangement?" "You'll see," he said smoothly. "Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, there's a diner offer out 6, called Mel's. You'll meet me there, alone." My voice shook. "And if I don't..." Silence. Then, in a whisper, "Then you'll learn how quickly a life can be erased." The line went dead. I sat there, breathless, the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. When I got home, Emily was sitting on the couch, clutching a throw pillow like it was a life raft. "Where were you?" she asked, her voice raw. I dropped my keys on the table. "He called me." Her face blanched. "Anthony?" "Yes. He wants to meet tomorrow night." She shook her head furiously. "No, Daniel. No. You can't go. That's exactly what he wants. If you walk into that diner, you won't walk out." I sank into a chair, staring at her. "So what's your plan? Keep hiding forever? Wait until he decides he doesn't need you anymore?" Her lip trembled. "I was trying to protect you." I laughed bitterly. "You protected me by building our whole life on a lie, by letting a mobster sit across the table from our daughter. That's not protection, Emily. That's surrender. She broke then, sobbing into her hands. For the first time, I didn't reach to comfort her. The next morning, I barely got through work. My students whispered, sensing something wrong. By lunch, I'd made up my mind. I was going to that diner, but I wasn't going unprepared. I dug my father's old revolver out of a lockbox in the attic, a relic he kept just in case. My hands trembled as I checked the cylinder. 6 bullets, enough to make me feel like I had a fighting chance. At 8:45, I pulled into Mel's parking lot. The neon sign flickered, buzzing against the night sky. My stomach churned as I pushed through the glass door. Romano was already there. He sat in a corner booth, sipping coffee like an old friend. When his eyes met mine, he smiled. "Daniel, sit." I slid into the booth, every nerve in my body screaming. "Where's Emily?" I asked. "At home, I presume," he said lightly. "I didn't come here to talk about her. I came here to talk about you." "Me?" He leaned forward, folding his hands. "You're a smart man. Teacher, right? Good with people. Good with details. The kind of man who could be useful." My mouth went dry. "Useful how?" Romano's smile widened. "We keep records. Ledgers. Every deal, every account, every payment. It's too much for one man. We need people we can trust to handle the smaller streams. Emily has been adequate. But you? You could be more." I stared at him. "You want me to launder money for you?" He shrugged. "Think of it as managing information. You'll live comfortably. No more worries about bills, mortgages, tuition. All I ask is loyalty. And silence." I shook my head. "You're insane if you think I'd help you." His smile never wavered. "Then you're insane if you think you have a choice." He slid a manila envelope across the table. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside were photos of me, leaving school, walking into our house, standing at the gas pump. One of me kissing Lily goodnight. Romano's voice dropped to a whisper. "Refuse me, and your life ends in fire and blood. Accept me, and your life continues better than before. Decide wisely." I pushed the envelope back, my hands trembling. "You think you scare me?" Romano chuckled. "I don't think. I know." He stood, smoothing his jacket. "You have 3 days, Daniel. Say yes, and I'll make you rich. Say no." He tapped the side of his coffee cup. "And you'll never tuck your daughter in again." He left me there, shaking in the booth, my father's revolver heavy in my jacket pocket. For the first time, I wondered if I'd already lost. When I got home, Emily was waiting. "What happened?" she asked, rushing to me. I dropped the envelope on the table. "He wants me to join him." Her face went pale. She opened the folder, flipping through the photos, then clutched her chest. "Oh, God," she whispered. "He's giving you the same offer he gave me." I froze. "What?" She looked at me, eyes wet. "That's how it started. Years ago. He said if I managed a few accounts, they'd leave me alone. He promised it was temporary. I thought I could protect you and Lily by saying yes." Her voice broke. "But once you say yes, Daniel, there's no way out." I sank into a chair, the weight of her words crushing me. 3 days. That was all I had. 3 days to choose between selling my soul or risking everything. The next morning, something strange happened. A letter slid under our front door. No stamp, no address, just a plain white envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. On it, typed in black ink, were 5 words. "He's not who you think." No signature, no explanation. I stared at it, my pulse racing. Who was it talking about? Romano? Emily? Or someone else entirely? The letter trembled in my hand. 5 words. "He's not who you think." And my world, already shattered, tilted further off its axis. I showed it to Emily. She read it twice, her lips pressed in. "What does that even mean?" I shook my head. "It means someone else is watching us. Someone who knows Romano. Maybe someone inside his own circle." Her eyes darted toward the window, the street beyond. Or it means they're playing with us, trying to break us apart. I folded the paper and slid it into my pocket. Either way, it changes things. That night, I barely slept. Every time headlights swept across our bedroom wall, I jolted awake. At 3 a.m., I crept into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and stared at the envelope again. Whoever sent it, friend or foe, had been close enough to our house to slip it under the door without being seen. That meant they knew where we lived. By morning, I'd made a decision. I'm going to find out who sent this. I told Emily. She grabbed my arm. Daniel, don't. If Romano finds out, I cut her off. We're already dead. I need to know if there's someone out there who can help us. Someone who knows the truth. I started small. The envelope itself was cheap, generic. The paper, standard printer stock. No watermark, no hidden clues. But when I held up to the light, I saw a faint grease stain in the corner. Grease, like from a diner. Mel's. Micah told me to go back. That evening, I parked across from the diner and waited. The neon sign flickered in the dusk. Trucks rumbled down Route 6, headlights carving the dark. At 9:15, a man stepped out of the diner and lit a cigarette. Tall, thin, wearing a battered leather jacket. He didn't notice me at first, but when he turned his head, I caught a glimpse of his face in the glow of his lighter. I froze. It was one of the men from the photographs in Emily's secret folder, the folder labeled Project Meridian. The same face I'd seen scan IDs for. Different names, different passports. But the same man. My pulse hammered. He blew smoke into the night, then walked toward the woods behind the diner. Without thinking, I followed. The trail was narrow, overgrown, crunching under my shoes. I kept my distance, heart pounding. The man walked with purpose, like he'd done this before. After 10 minutes, he stopped at a rusted storage shed, looked around once, then slipped inside. I waited, my breath clouding in the cold air, counted to 30, then crept forward. The shed door was unlocked. Inside, a single bulb hung from the ceiling, flickering weakly. The air smelled of oil and mold. And on a wooden crate sat a stack of envelopes, identical to the one I'd received. The man was there, hunched over a typewriter, punching keys slowly. Another sheet slid out, words fresh on the page. He's using you both. I swallowed hard. The man looked up suddenly, his eyes locking on mine. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then he stood, slow and deliberate. You shouldn't be here, he said. Who are you? I demanded. He exhaled, long and weary. Name's Carter. Used to work for them. Not anymore. The circle? He nodded once. The ledger circle. Romano's crew. I was their accountant. Helped hide money. Forge identities. Until I saw too much. My chest tightened. And now you're what? Playing vigilante? Carter shook his head, trying to undo what I built, piece by piece. He tapped the stack of letters. Warn people like you. People who don't realize they're pawns in his game. My fist clenched. What game? His eyes flicked to the door, as if he expected someone to burst through it any second. Then he leaned closer. Romano isn't just after your wife, he whispered. He's after you. Always has been. The room tilted. What are you talking about? He barely knows me. Carter's gaze bored into mine. You think this is coincidence? That your wife ended up in your town, your house, your life by chance? You were chosen, Daniel, placed in her path. They've been watching you for years. My mouth went dry. That's impossible. He shook his head. It's the truth. Romano doesn't recruit strangers. He recruits assets. And you, Daniel, you're not just a schoolteacher. You're a key. I staggered back. A key to what? Carter's voice dropped lower, to the ledger itself. Before I could speak, headlights swept across the shed walls. A car engine idled outside. Carter's eyes widened. They found me. He shoved a letter he'd been typing into my hands. Get out. Now. And don't trust her. She knows more than she's telling you. Then the door burst open. 2 men stormed in. faces hard, guns drawn. Carter lunged at one, knocking the pistol aside. "Run!" he shouted. I bolted to the back, branches clawing at my face as I crashed into the woods. Behind me, a gunshot cracked the night. Then another. I didn't look back. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. My lungs burned, my legs trembling. I fumbled with the keys, slammed the door shut, and peeled out the lot. The letter Carter had given me sat crumpled in my fist. At a red light, I unfolded it with shaking hands. The words were smeared with blood, but still legible. Emily isn't the victim. She's the entry point. My chest went hollow. The woman I'd married. The woman who claimed to love me, to protect me. Had she been working for them all along? When I got home, Emily was waiting at the kitchen table. Her eyes were swollen, her hands clasped tight. "Where were you?" she asked softly. I stared at her, Carter's bloody letter burning in my pocket. The truth was a knife in my throat, but I forced the words out anyway. "I need to know, Emily." My voice shook. "Are you with me or with them?" Her silence was answer enough. Emily's silence was a dagger. She sat across the table, unmoving, while I stood there with Carter's bloody note burning in my pocket. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. "Daniel, you have to understand. It wasn't supposed to be like this." My throat tightened. "Like what? Like you marrying me under false pretenses? Like raising our daughter while you were feeding information to the very people who killed your father?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't a lie at first. I loved you. I still love you. But they what?" I snapped. "They forced you? Or you chose this? Tell me the truth, Emily, right now." She flinched, then leaned forward, lowering her voice. "They needed a way in, a way to rebuild their ledger after the feds raided them years ago. And they knew you, Daniel. You weren't just a teacher. You worked in accounting before you switched to education. You understand numbers, structures, data. You're exactly what they needed." I staggered back, my heart pounding. "You're saying I was recruited without even knowing it?" Her lips trembled. "They told me to get close to you, to marry you. At first, I thought I could play along, protect you from the inside. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being an act." Her tears spilled over. "I fell in love with you, with our life, with Lily. None of that was fake. Daniel, none of it." I could barely breathe. My marriage wasn't a marriage. It was an assignment. My life wasn't chance. It was a setup. Carter was right. I whispered, "You're the entry point." Emily's face went pale. "Carter? You saw him." I laughed bitterly. "Saw him? I watched him bleed. He told me not to trust you. And now I know why." She stood suddenly, knocking over a chair. "No, Daniel, you don't understand. Carter's a traitor. He's been trying to bring them down from the outside, but he doesn't care who he burns in the process. He would have used you just like Romano will." Her words twisted inside me, scraping raw. Everyone had an agenda. Romano, Carter, and Emily, the woman I thought I knew, standing in my kitchen like a stranger. I slammed my fist against the table. "Then tell me, Emily, what the hell am I supposed to believe?" That night, I couldn't look at her. I locked myself in the guest room, staring at the ceiling until dawn. By morning, I'd made a decision. If everyone wanted me as a pawn, I'd stop playing their game. I drove Lily to school, kissed her forehead, and told her I'd pick her up early. My chest ached when she smiled at me, oblivious to the storm tearing her family apart. When I got back home, Emily was waiting by the door. "You're leaving?" she said. Not a question. A fact. "I have to," I said. "For Lily. For me. I can't stay in this house wondering when Romano's men will come crashing in. Or worse, when you'll decide my usefulness has run out." Her eyes filled again, but this time she didn't cry. She just nodded, resigned. "At least take this," she whispered. She handed me a flash drive, black, unmarked. "What is it?" I asked. "Everything I've collected over the years. Names, accounts, dates. Proof of what they've done. If something happens to me, if you can find a way, give it to press." I stared at it in my palm, the weight of it heavier than any weapon. Why now? Because they don't trust me anymore, she said softly. And because despite everything, I still love you. Her words cut deeper than any bullet could. That night, I sat in my car outside Lily's school, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. I had 3 choices. 1, hand it to the police. Risk it disappearing into bureaucracy, or worse, into Romano's pocket. 2, take it to the press. Blow the circle wide open and paint a target on my back forever. 3, destroy it. Pretend none of this ever happened. Protect Lily by erasing the truth. The bell rang. Children spilled into the parking lot, laughing, carefree. Lily spotted me and ran into my arms. "Daddy," she squealed. I hugged her tight, burying my face in her hair. For a moment, the world was simple again. But when I opened my eyes, a black SUV idled across the street, windows tinted, engine humming, watching, waiting. Romano's man. I gripped Lily tighter, my mind racing. I couldn't run forever, but I couldn't give in either. Somewhere between those choices, I had to find a way out. That evening, Emily and I sat opposite ends of the couch, silence thick between us. Finally, I spoke. Romano gave me 3 days. Tomorrow's the deadline. She nodded slowly. Then tomorrow, everything changes. Her tone chilled me. What does that mean? I asked. She turned her head, eyes glistening in the dim light. It means if you say no, he'll kill us. If you say yes, he'll own us. And if we try to run, her voice broke, he'll find us. For the first time, I saw the truth in her face. Not just fear, but inevitability. There was no winning this game, only surviving it. Later that night, as Emily slept in our bed, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the flash drive. I plug it into my laptop. Folders, hundreds of them. Bank statements, offshore accounts, politicians' names, judges, CEOs, photos of briefcases stuffed with cash, even grainy images of bodies, debt settled, typed underneath. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just money laundering. It was control. The circle didn't just move money. They owned people. And buried in the files, a folder named Project Meridian. I clicked it open. Dozens of documents, all with my name, Daniel Price, my social security number, my teaching certificate, even childhood photos I'd never seen before. At the bottom of the folder was a single document labeled Asset Acquisition Report. My hand shook as I opened it. The first line read, Subjects elected at age 12, monitored for adaptability, intelligence, and loyalty, embedded through control partner, Sarah Collins. Final phase, integration into ledger management. The room spun. They hadn't just chosen Emily. They had chosen me. I stared at the words on the screen until they blurred. Subjects elected at age 12. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my choices, my marriage, my career, collapsed into ash. Had it all been orchestrated? Every fork in the road, every coincidence that had led me here? My hands shook as I scrolled further down the document. Summary. Subject deemed viable. Control partner integration successful. Continued monitoring recommended. Asset expected to be fully assimilated into circle operations within 24 months. Control partner. They meant Emily. I wanted to throw the laptop across the room, to erase every file, burn every shred of evidence. But some part of me knew, once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The circle didn't just control money. They controlled people, families, futures, and I was one of their projects, a carefully raised pawn. At dawn, I drove Lily to school in silence. She hummed in the back seat, playing with her stuffed rabbit. The normalcy was unbearable. "Daddy," she asked. "Yes, sweetheart." "Are you mad at Mommy?" The question hit me like a hammer. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Why would you ask that?" "Because you don't laugh anymore," she said softly, "and she cries a lot." I swallowed the lump in my throat. Sometimes grown-ups have problems they don't know how to fix. But that doesn't mean we don't love you. "Okay." She nodded, satisfied, and went back to humming. But I knew the truth. If I didn't act, there wouldn't be a family left to love. Romano's deadline was tomorrow. That night, Emily cornered me in the kitchen. Daniel, please, we can't keep pretending this is going away. I slammed the flash drive onto the counter. You knew they had me pegged since I was a kid. Her face went white. You found the report. Don't deny it. I snapped. They didn't just use you. They used me. My entire life was a damn case study. Emily's shoulders sagged, her voice breaking. I tried to shield you. When they told me you were the target, I wanted to run. But they don't let people run, Daniel. Not me, not you, not Lily. Her words twisted like knives. So what? We just bow down? Hand over our souls to Romano? She shook her head, her voice trembling but firm. No, we burn it all down. Her plan was madness, but it was also the only chance we had. Emily knew of a dead-drop location the Circle used downtown, a locker where mid-level operatives exchanged sensitive data. If we could plant the flash drive there, she said, it would trigger a chain reaction. The wrong eyes would see it. The Circle would fracture from the inside. They'll eat each other alive, she whispered, and in the chaos we'd disappear. It sounded impossible, dangerous, reckless. But what choice did I have? The next evening, the deadline loomed like a guillotine. Romano expected an answer. Instead, Emily and I slipped into the city after dark. Lily was safe at my sister's for the night. At least I prayed she was safe. We parked 2 blocks from Union Station and walked the rest of the way, our breath cloudy in the cold. Emily clutched the flash drive like it was a live grenade. The locker was inside the station, past rows of vending machines and flickering lights. We were steps away when a voice called out, "Going somewhere?" I froze. Victor, leaning casually against the lockers, his smile sharp as broken glass. 2 men flanked him, broad-shouldered, eyes dead. My blood ran cold. You didn't think we'd let you waltz right in, did you? Victor asked. Emily's grip on my arm tightened. Move aside. I growled, "We're done playing your game." Victor chuckled. "Oh, Daniel, you were never playing. You were the game." He snapped his fingers. One of his men stepped forward, holding out his hand. The drive. Emily's jaw clenched. Slowly, she reached into her coat, but instead of handing it over, she hurled it past him into the open locker. The flash drive clattered inside just as the locker door slammed shut. Victor's eyes widened. "What did you do?" Emily smiled grimly. "Set you all on fire." Chaos erupted. Victor lunged forward, but I tackled him, slamming him against the lockers. His elbow caught my jaw, stars exploding in my vision. Emily screamed as one of the guards grabbed her, twisting her arm. I drove my fist into Victor's ribs, again and again, until he collapsed gasping. I spun, yanking Emily free, and together we bolted through the station. Shouts echoed behind us. Boots thundered, but we didn't stop. We tore down stairwell through crowds into the night air. My lungs burned. Emily stumbled, nearly falling, but I dragged her on. Behind us, sirens wailed. Police swarmed the station. Whether tipped off by Victor or drawn by the commotion, I didn't know. But one thing was certain. The flash drive was no longer ours. It was loose, and the Circle would feel it. Hours later, we huddled in a dingy motel on the outskirts of town. Emily's lip was split, my jaw bruised, but we were alive. For now. "They'll come for us," I whispered. Emily nodded. "Yes, but they'll be fighting each other, too. The information on that drive, it's dynamite. The Circle won't survive it intact." Her eyes burned with something fierce, something desperate. "We have a chance, Daniel. If we move fast, if we disappear, maybe we can finally be free." I looked at her, my wife, the woman who had deceived me and yet stood by me when it mattered most. I didn't know if I could forgive her, but I knew I couldn't do this alone. "We move tonight," I said. As dawn crept over the horizon, we packed what little we had and slipped away. No goodbyes, no plans beyond survival. But deep down I knew the truth. You can't outrun something that has owned you since childhood. And the Circle? They weren't done with me yet. The news broke 2 days later. At first, it was whispers online, anonymous leaks on obscure forums, grainy screenshots of documents marked confidential. Then the mainstream outlets picked it up. A journalist in New York claimed to have received an encrypted folder from an unknown source. Another in London hinted at systemic corruption tied to global finance. By the end of the week, chaos spread like wildfire. Politicians scrambled to deny involvement. Bank CEOs vanished overnight. 2 mid-level government officials were found dead in apparent suicides. The circle was bleeding in public. Emily watched the TV with hollow eyes. "It worked," she whispered. "God, it actually worked." But I wasn't celebrating, because if the circle was bleeding, then we were too. They'd be looking for the leak, and they'd know exactly who planted it. We moved constantly. Cheap motels, back-alley apartments, cash-only rentals. I barely slept, ears tuned for footsteps outside, eyes scanning every shadow. Lily's absence ached like a phantom limb. We'd left her with my sister, telling her it was for her safety. But every night I wondered if the circle had already found them. Emily tried to reassure me. "They're too busy tearing each other apart," she said. "No one will waste resources chasing us right now." But paranoia doesn't need logic to thrive. And mine was blooming like a weed. On the 10th night, I found the envelope. It was slipped under our motel door. No return address. Just my name scrawled across the front. Inside was a single photograph of me, sleeping. I dropped it like it was poison, my heart in my throat. "Emily." She rushed over, her face draining of color. Jesus Christ. It wasn't just proof they'd found us. It was proof they could reach us any time they wanted. "We have to leave," I whispered. But as I shoved our things into bags, another realization hit me like ice water. The photograph wasn't from last night. It was from years ago. I recognized the room. The peeling wallpaper, the crooked lamp. It was the first apartment Emily and I had shared when we were newly married. The circle hadn't just found me recently. They'd been watching me all along. Every home, every bed, every secret. Emily covered her mouth, her eyes wet. "They never stop," she whispered. "Not even when they say they've let you go." The envelope slipped from my hand. For the first time, I wondered if freedom was even possible, or if we were already ghosts living on borrowed time. The next morning, Emily was gone. Her side of the bed was cold, her bag missing. But on the nightstand was a note, hastily written. "Daniel, don't follow me. They'll kill you if you do. I can still fix this. For you, for Lily. Trust me one last time. E." My hands shook as I read it again and again. Rage, betrayal, despair, they all tangled into one suffocating knot. I knew what she was doing. She was turning herself in. She thought she could bargain with them, offer herself as tribute so Lily and I could walk free. But the circle doesn't do mercy. They'd use her until she broke, then discard her like the others. And I couldn't let that happen. I tracked her the only way I could. Her phone was off, her accounts frozen, but I remembered the way her hand trembled when she mentioned a meeting place months ago, a warehouse near the docks. She said it like it was a curse, a place she never wanted to see again. I drove there at dusk, adrenaline buzzing like static under my skin. The warehouse loomed over the water, its windows dark, its walls scarred with rust. I slipped inside through a side door and froze. Voices echoed, Emily's and his. "Victor, this is my choice," Emily was saying. Her voice cracked but held firm. "Let them go. Take me." Victor's laugh was low, sharp. "You think you're in control here? You've always been an asset, Emily, and assets don't negotiate." I crept closer, heart hammering, until I saw them. Emily stood under a single hanging light, her face pale, her hands bound. Victor paced in front of her, flanked by 2 guards. He reached into his coat and pulled out something small and metallic, a syringe. I didn't think. I burst from the shadows, tackling the nearest guard. We crashed to the ground, his gun skittering across the floor. "Daniel!" Emily screamed. The second guard lunged, but Emily kicked out, tripping him long enough for me to grab the fallen gun. I fired blindly, the crack deafening in the hollow space. The guard went down. Victor snarled, shoving Emily aside. "You idiot! You've doomed us both." He raised a syringe, but I fired again. The shot caught him in the shoulder. He dropped the syringe, clutching his arm, his face twisted in fury. "You think you're a hero," he spat. "You're nothing but a file in a cabinet. And when they close it, you'll cease to exist." His words chilled me to the bone, but I didn't hesitate. I grabbed Emily's hand and pulled her toward the door. We ran into the night, the sound of sirens already swelling in the distance. We didn't stop until we reached the car. My hand shook as I shoved the keys into the ignition. Emily collapsed in the passenger seat, tears streaking her face. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "They'll never stop now." "They were never going to stop," I said, my voice raw. "But as long as we're alive, we still have a chance." Her hand found mine, trembling but tight, and as we sped into the darkness, I realized something terrifying. The circle wasn't just bleeding anymore. It was evolving, and we were still caught in its grip. We drove for hours with no destination, headlights carving tunnels through the night. Emily leaned against the window, her breathing shallow, her wrists raw from the rope burns. Neither of us spoke. What was there to say? We had torn free, but not clean. The circle wasn't dead. It was just wounded, and wounded predators are the most dangerous. At dawn, I pulled into a rest stop off the highway. My hands shook as I killed the engine. Emily stirred, her eyes rimmed red. "Where now?" she whispered. I stared at the horizon. "We can't keep running. They'll find us, wherever we go. They've always found us." Her silence told me she knew it too. "What if we stop running?" I said, slowly. "What if we take the fight to them?" Emily's head snapped toward me. "Daniel." "I'm serious. That drive we planted didn't just scatter their secrets. It put cracks in their foundation. People are turning on each other. If we find the right hands, if we give them what's left of the evidence." "You want to expose them completely," she said. I nodded. "It's the only way we walk free." For a long time, she just stared at me. Then, with a trembling sigh, she whispered, "All right, let's finish this." 2 days later, we met with a name Emily swore we could trust. Marcus Hale, a journalist who'd been chasing whispers of the circle for years. We found him in a dingy cafe, hunched over a battered laptop. His eyes darted nervously as we approached. "You actually came," he muttered, voice low. "Do you have it?" Emily slid a second flash drive across the table, the backup she'd never admitted to having. Marcus plugged it in, his fingers flying. Within minutes, his face went pale. "My God, this is everything. Accounts, identities, payoffs, even murders. If half of this is real." "It's all real," Emily cut in. Marcus leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "If I publish this, I'll be dead by morning." "You won't be alone," I said. "Leak it wide. Not just one outlet. Every outlet, every whistleblower site, every government watchdog. Drown them." For the first time, Marcus smiled. A grim, dangerous smile. Now that could work. The leak went live at dawn. By noon, it was everywhere. Files, photos, recordings. Proof of corruption spanning continents. Names too powerful to be ignored. The world erupted. Markets crashed. Protests exploded. Arrests were made. High-ranking officials in handcuffs. Executives dragged from boardrooms. The circle wasn't bleeding anymore. It was burning. But fire spreads. That night, as Emily and I huddled in a safe house Marcus arranged, the power cut out. And then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate raps. I raised the gun I'd taken from Victor's guard. Every nerve on fire. "Who is it?" I called. Silence. Then a voice. Smooth. Familiar. "Daniel." My blood froze. "Victor." Emily's hand gripped mine. "We should run," she whispered. But something in me snapped. I was done running. I opened the door. Victor stood alone, his arm still bandaged from our last encounter. He looked tired, but his smile was intact. You think you've won? He asked softly. You've set the world on fire, yes. But the circle isn't an organization. It's an idea. Cut off one head, and two more grow in its place. I raise a gun. Then maybe it's time someone stopped chopping and started burning. His smile faltered for the first time. You're a fool, Daniel. You think they'll let you live now? You, Emily, your daughter, you'll be hunted until your last breath. Maybe, I said, but at least the world knows the truth. At least we're not alone anymore. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Predator and prey, roles blurred. Then Victor chuckled darkly. You've changed. They'll be interested in that. And without another word, he turned and walked into the night. We didn't follow. We didn't sleep. The world outside raged with chaos, but inside that safe house, there was only silence and the weight of what we'd done. Emily sat beside me, her hand trembling in mine. Do you think we'll ever be free? She whispered. I thought of Lily, of the photograph slipped under my door, of Victor's warning. No, I admitted, not really, but maybe we can give her a world where she doesn't have to be afraid. Emily rested her head on my shoulder, tears slipping down her cheeks. For the first time in months, I let myself believe it was possible. Not freedom, not safety, but hope. Epilogue. Months later, under a new name, in a small town far from the city, I watched Lily chase fireflies in the backyard. Emily smiled softly beside me, though shadows linger in her eyes. The circle may still be out there, watching, waiting, but tonight there's laughter. There's light, and for now that's enough, because even pawns can learn to fight back, and sometimes they even win.